we're largely pragmatic about it. So if there's something in it for us, then if it's a cold-nosed partner that wants to come in and they've got something that they can make out of a development, but there's something that we can get out of the development, we'll listen to them. Obviously, what we want to work with is people with a long-term commitment to the area and people who share the same values that we have, in particular around sharing the social impact of developments, of ensuring that that the community has services that are good for the area. So that would be our preference, obviously, but we're not going to sort of turn people down. I don't want to say we're going to get involved. We would get involved with anybody, but we'll certainly listen to people's cases, and we want to see the opportunity of people coming to Merton as an opportunity for us to sell Merton. Merton is a great place. The people who live here love Merton. The surveys that we do, the independent surveys that we carry out over here, are at record levels, despite all that's happened in the last 10 years with austerity and all those sorts of things. People love it in Merton. Great open spaces, new library, new leisure centre, those sorts of things. And if businesses want to come and invest in us, they will find that it's a great place to do business, and that people will engage with them. We want to get them through the door.
Let's narrow it down then. So you talked about Clarion specifically. If I'm another housing association that isn't Clarion, are you open to doing business with me, or is this is it Clarion's turf?
No, it's certainly not Clarion's turf, and we have interesting discussions with Clarion as well. They need to, they have their own business to do, but we have our own objectives that we want to get out of it. And, particularly, we want to ensure that that people who are living in Clarion's properties have decent homes. We'd like to see more homes as well, but the bottom line is decent homes is what it's all about. And we are not just working with the one developer by any means. There are lots of housing associations that we'll work with. L&Q have done a fantastic development in Cllr's Wood, or a couple of them in Cllr's Wood and Lavender Fields, where I represent, and very pleased with the work that they've done. Moat Housing over in Pollard's Hill is doing some great work. And actually, they've been very nice on the community side with what they've been able to do in the community over the last 9 months, with just providing assistance to the local charities there, driving food around to people in need. So that there are lots of nice organisations, and we wouldn't give preferential treatment to anybody.
What about we were talking a little bit about Morden Town Centre earlier. What about the relationship with TfL? What are they like as a partner for you? What are the pros and the cons?
TfL are great people to work with. The Mayor's office and everybody associated with TfL. We've got a great deal of time with them. We've got a great understanding. They share our sort of view that it's an opportunity. I think there's clearly an issue with TfL at the moment in terms of their funding, because of the unique way that they're funded, unlike anywhere else in really the world. The capital's transport service, is so reliant on fares that when fares kind of just fall off a cliff, like they did, in March, their financial position is much altered, and then there's a worry that you're sort of not negotiating with TfL anymore. You're negotiating with the government, who maybe aren't so cognizant about the needs of a sort of a nice London borough.
And has that affected?
We're not part of the Red Ball, unfortunately.
But has that affected the progress in Morden, the TfL sort of finances and that relationship you were talking about?
I think we're having to look at new ways of doing things. But in terms of working with TfL, that's obviously going to continue. They're a key part of what we would want to do. The easiest way of putting it is just that because of what's happened to their finances, we're just having to consider other, all the options at the moment. I think everybody understands that, but we still share the aim of having Morden Town Centre first of all improved, because it's a bit bit end of the line at the moment, and we want to, we've got an ambition to make it the start of the line, the place that people want to go, or a destination in itself. So that's a key thing that we would still want to go, and I'm sure TfL does as well, and also then the housing and the regeneration that comes with the housing. Follow on from that. Again,
in terms of partners, you've got a housing company that's wholly owned by the council. How do you see the partnership with that organisation developing over time?
I mean, the housing association, our housing company is a pragmatic, decision that we took. That if we had small, and they are very small, parcels of land, that it would be a good idea for any profits from the development of those to be kept for council services rather than to go to developers. And when we were initially thinking about having the housing company as well, we thought that it would be a good opportunity to shape the way that those developments took place there, ensure that there was a decent level of affordable housing, and also make sure that they fitted in with the local community. We've given ourselves various sort of staging posts where we can consider the progress on them, and we've now achieved one of those staging posts, which is the planning applications have been approved for those sites. So now we're in the process of thinking, do we continue further on with this? Do we continue to make the profits? Is it profitable in the future? Will that be able to help local services, or is there something that we can do to get any profit in now rather than over the course of the next few years? So we're still in that kind of like phase of making up our minds as to what happens next. So it may be developed by us, in which case it'll be good quality housing for people living in the area, but any surplus can be used to keep adult social care going and those sorts of things. Or do we see if someone else can build it? Yeah, I mean, we don't want to pause it for too long, because time is money as well. So we're looking at it as we speak.
Right. Okay. Excellent. That's really interesting. And then the final part of this sort of question that I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned the relationships with neighbouring boroughs over sort of health services in effect, because of the hospitals that are in neighbouring boroughs. So how would you like your relationships with neighbouring boroughs to develop in terms of development, growth, planning, those sorts of areas?
We have various, there are various meetings that and various groupings that we have together. We're quite good at either sharing services or collaborating. We've got a shared legal service. We share the waste services with Croydon, Kingston, and Sutton, and those sorts of things, and those sort of soft collaborations that we do ensure that we have quite a good relationship with most of our neighbouring boroughs, even though many of them are of a different colour to ours. So that's very, very helpful. I'm going to confess, in my early stages of being a leader, so I'm able to say, in all honesty, that I've not had any fights with other council leaders at this stage, but then that's largely by omission more than anything else. But I understand that everybody gets on very, very well and has a very trusting relationship. I suppose my view on do they want to build or do they not want to build is that, this whole region, there is a need for new homes. There's a need for new ways of getting the local economies working. And if they were, radically different in outlook to ourselves, then they are going to struggle. That would be my advice to them. And we don't really want to get into conflict with anybody at all. We want everybody to respect each other. And one of the beauties of London is that there are these different neighbourhoods and different communities that rub along with each other, but actually get along okay.